Today I'll be reviewing Boruto Chapter 43, Manifestation. This chapter was incredible. I wasn't expecting this much hype, to be honest. I had a feeling it would be the closing fight chapter, and I made some predictions, but this chapter turned out to be better than I was expecting. Now, starting from like the last page, I wasn't expecting that ending with Kashin Koji meeting with Amato and for them to be seemingly like in cahoots with each other. And just Kashin Koji saying he's just gonna go to take out Jigen now. I made some predictions in my last chapter review, but that definitely wasn't one of them. One of the predictions I did make would be Boruto awakening his Jougan because we haven't seen it in the manga yet, and now would be the perfect time. And it kind of happened with Momoshiki taking over, but I was expecting it to awaken similarly to how it did in the anime. So I'm not sure if this 100% counts. I guess to some people it does, but it does look kind of different. It looks more like the byakugan that Momoshiki would use, more than the Jougan that we've seen. But there could be factors that we don't realize that has caused it to look like that, like it being Momoshiki who awakened it and not Boruto. The other prediction I made was Mitsuki using Sage Mode, and that didn't happen either. Instead, we saw Mitsuki get blindsided in the chapter. That aside though, this chapter was definitely amazing. Lots of things to talk about regarding the chapter too, like Boruto's potential with his Boroshiki form, I guess, or Momoshiki taking over his body. Another thing I didn't mention just now is the fact that Naruto came out, because lots of people thought Naruto would be sealed in here, and that it's all like Jigen slash Ishiki's doing. So that's why Kawaki said in chapter 1 that I'll send you where I sent the 7th, because it's actually Ishiki who took over Kawaki. But this chapter debunked all of that because now Naruto is free. Unless Kawaki ends up capturing him for himself later, that theory is completely debunked as of right now. But on to the chapter, let's start from the beginning. So Sarada lands her Chidori, takes Boro's core and smashes it. And then Boro loses absolute control over his body. And Kawaki explains to us that the ninja tool is just running wild after losing its core, and that they should just stay away from him because he can still hurt them despite the fact that he's lost control. I wasn't expecting Boro to become all mutated and grow those extra legs, arms, or whatever you want to call them, and then just start raging, because he hasn't like been raging throughout the fight. He seems in between calm and like prideful. I don't know how to explain his personality, but he hasn't been too interesting, so I wasn't expecting him to rage like this though. I thought maybe he'd just run out of power and try to fight some other way or back off, but it seems that he's lost complete control of his body, so that makes me wonder if the ninja tools are connected and wired into their brain along with their personalities, or if Boro is just acting like this because he can't have his way anymore. So after Kawaki tells them that they can't really mess with him because he could still hurt them, Mitsuki comes up with the genius idea and says, hey, we should break Naruto out so he can defeat him. And here's the part of the chapter that I kind of had a problem with. So Kawaki says that they have to use karma to break him out in the same way that they use karma to get to this dimension with space-time. So he just tells Boruto that they have to combine their karmas. And so they put their karmas over the seal, and Naruto just falls out just like that, which seemed far too easy for me. I didn't have a problem with Naruto getting out and the Kawaki is Ishiki in like after the time skip theory being debunked. But my problem is how easy they got Naruto out. I don't have a problem with the method, just how long it took them. I think it should have taken them longer because Boruto hasn't mastered karma at all. He's just now starting to get the hang of it. And Kawaki doesn't know all the secrets of karma, which is the reason that he's been cooperating with Boruto so that they can learn it. So the fact that he just suggested the idea, even though it's something that they thought of before to get to this dimension, the fact that he just suggested it, and it's something they've never done before, and it worked on the first try, that's my only problem with that. Like, I can imagine it taking them three tries or even more than that, but they've never seen the seal before. Naruto's inside. It's a seal made by Kara that they decided to place in another dimension. And these guys just happen to just hack it open by putting their hands together. No explanation, no extra panels for transition to see Boruto activating it. They just put their hands up, and then Naruto's out. So after they get Naruto out, continues to go crazy and then out of nowhere knocks Mitsuki out, which was actually pretty disappointing to me because Mitsuki's probably more skilled than Sarda and Boruto as a ninja. And he has so much more well, not more potential than Sarda and Boruto. But as of right now, I'd say that he's probably the most skilled or the strongest between the three of them. That's to say he has more control over the power that he's going to be using later on in the series because he has Sage Mode. But he just gets knocked out, but I don't think it's because he's weak. I think he was just blindsided. And it was them just the writer showcasing Boro's power because right after Mitsuki gets knocked out, Kawaki goes ahead and blasts his hand off and then he gets sent flying too. Then Boro grabs and slams Sarda to the ground. And then goes after Boruto, who he had already knocked down, and right before he can land a finishing punch, Boruto disappears, and we see him flying in the air in his Boroshiki form, or in Momoshiki taking over his body form. I don't know, I've seen Boroshiki trending, so I'm not sure if that's just going to be the fan name for the form takeover, but I'll just call him Boruto in Momoshiki's body for now. So we see Boruto, who's just flying in the air with a horn, and the byakugan or Jougan, whichever one you think it is right now, and the karma markings. I think because it's the karma markings, we want to call it the Jougan, but Boruto had the Jougan before he had the karma. I'm honestly not sure if we're going to go byakugan or Jougan for that right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and call it the Jougan. But I want to say it's the byakugan because it's Momoshiki, and Momoshiki doesn't have the Jougan. But it's also in Boruto's body and in that same eye. After looking at the panel again where we see him transform, the other eye that can't have the Jougan, or that we haven't seen the Jougan in, is closed. So I think it's safe to say that it's the Jougan. So the first thing we hear Momoshiki say is, "Don't get cocky, you inferior creature." And Boro immediately freaks out and says Otsutsuki. And by that point we realize as fans that it's Momoshiki and not Boruto who is taking control. And then he just starts kicking Boro all over the place. And when he finally realizes that Boruto's body is nearly out of chakra, he just walks over to Naruto like he's the gas station, absorbs his chakra, and then flies over to Boro, stands right on top of him, and says, yeah, what was that jutsu called again? And meanwhile, Boruto, or not Boruto, Sarada and Mitsuki are just there confused, and Kawaki's asking what's going on, because none of them have a clue what's going on with Boruto right now. And this is definitely my favorite part of the chapter. This and something else are tied for my favorite moments in the chapter, is when he just stands on top of him and he's like, what was that jutsu called again? Oh right, Rasengan, and creates a giant Rasengan that completely destroys Boro and leaves nothing. And Kawaki's basically over there like, what the F is going on here? And Mitsuki is like, I don't know, after waking up. And then Momoshiki has a self-dialogue to himself where he says, it's still a ways away till you lose everything. And he's talking about Boruto, of course, who was foreshadowed by Momoshiki himself to say he would lose everything. That his blue eyes will take everything from him. And then Boruto falls and Mitsuki grabs him, and Sarada says that Boruto seemed like someone else just now, and that karma may be even more dangerous than we thought. And then we get to the final part of the chapter, and probably my second favorite part of the entire chapter. This might be a highlight of the arc, to be honest. It's when Kashin Koji walks back into the Kara base. And Kashin Koji walks in, and Amato tells him immediately that Jigen is charging in the back, and that he hasn't even regained 10%. And Kashin Koji's like, I see. And then Amato tells him that Boro and Code are out. Boro is, well, we know he's dead, but he was sent to guard the Hokage. And Code is with the Ten Tails. And Kashin Koji's like, good. And then Amato's like, you're going to go do it? And he's like, yeah, I'm taking down Jigen. And that was just so amazing and hype to me because everyone's kind of figured that Kashin Koji was working against the Kara while working in the Kara. Ever since like when he first appeared and he killed that one old man who was a member of the Kara. And later on we find out that he has some sort of a connection to the Hidden Leaf and that he has ties there or something. And then we see him use Sage Mode, or not Sage Mode, we see him use Summoning and the Rasengan. And there are all these ties to the leaf and connection to Kashin Koji, which led us fans to believing that he's Jiraiya, or some think he's Jiraiya's son, nephew, something. Somehow he's related to Jiraiya, or maybe he's just a callback to Jiraiya. We don't know. I personally don't think he's Jiraiya, despite all the evidence, because of the story that's being told with Naruto and through Boruto. I don't think they'd cancel out what was set up in Naruto in Boruto for Jiraiya. I don't think they'd bring back his story just to end it in a way where he's like this. I don't think they'd ruin Jiraiya's character. I don't know if this would redeem his character. I think if they wanted to bring Jiraiya back like this, it wouldn't be as beneficial as just leaving him dead. But I think in the next chapter where we might find out who he really is, or at least his connection with Jigen and the Hidden Leaf, I think this will happen within 4 chapters. We'll get everything that we want or need to know about Kashin Koji, or at least I'd hope so. That, or we're going to end up back in the Leaf Village seeing these guys heal up, and then potentially Sasuke waking up along with Naruto. But I don't know, we might get 50-50, half a chapter with Boruto and the crew back in the Leaf, and then half the chapter, or the ending part of the chapter, with Kashin Koji and his encounter or fight with Jigen begins. We also know that Kashin Koji, or not Kashin Koji, Jigen is at less than 10% right now. So we'll also be able to scale Kashin Koji with 10% Jigen. And I assume Kashin Koji, a member of the Kara, should at least be stronger than 10% of his boss, because why would you hire someone who's not even as 10% as good as you? But if the outer or inner members of the Kara are artificially created, and maybe this guy is made of, Kashin Koji's made of Jiraiya cells, it could all come full circle within the next chapter or 2. I don't know what'll happen, but lots of interesting things could potentially happen. But one last thing I want to talk about before I end this review is Boruto and him training Momoshiki's form, or him mastering his Momoshiki form power. Because what we saw was Momoshiki completely in control. That wasn't Boruto losing control and Momoshiki taking him over. That was Momoshiki like, this kid's about to die, let me just come out and do what I have to do. It wasn't like the Nine Tails form, like taking control of Naruto's brain and causing him to go crazy. This was Momoshiki completely in control. This was somebody in control. This was like Boruto and Momoshiki are in a car and they just switch places, and Momoshiki became the driver and Boruto just became a passenger. But Boruto was completely unaware of the fact that Momoshiki took over. And when it comes to Boruto learning to master this form, we know based on chapter 1 that he's not going to have that form with the horn when he fights Kawaki, or he's just going to have to later on power up into that form. But he's going to have the Jougan and the Karma with the seal marks all over him. He's going to at least have that. So maybe that appearance with the horn is just a side effect of Momoshiki taking over and making Boruto the vessel, because I believe it was the last chapter or the chapter before that we saw both Boruto and Kawaki in their like Otsutsuki forms, I guess I should say, but we saw them in front of the divine tree with horns growing out of their head, and in this chapter we get Boruto with the horns, and that's Momoshiki taking over. So I guess if they don't have the horns when they fight, they aren't going to get taken over. So yeah, a lot happened in this chapter. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but Amato being in cahoots with Kashin Koji, that was pretty surprising, because Amato wants his wish granted that some people theorize is his daughter Delta, but we're not going to go into that theory because if it's not true, it doesn't even make sense to talk about it right now. So Amato wants a wish granted from Kashin Koji, or not Kashin Koji, Jigen. And so that's why he's working with him to do all this stuff for the Kara. So if Amato betrays him, he's not going to get his wish. So is Amato betraying Kashin Koji right now and just trying to lure him in so he can so that Jigen can find out the truth about Kashin Koji? And is Kashin Koji about to be killed before we even learn anything about him? Because he doesn't know about his connection to the Leaf. And I assume it's going to be Jigen or someone who like tells us what his connection is within the next few chapters or so. I'm really expecting chapters focused on those two for, I guess, the next, throughout this year. I think before the end of the year, we're going to know what's up with Kashin Koji. But let me know what you thought of this review or this chapter in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of the review. Let me know if I missed anything and what are your predictions for the next chapter. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching, and bye.